Hi everyone, this is Natasha. For my dirty tricks, I have dirty tricks number 11 and 12. For the first one, dirty trick number 11 is beg for the question. The definition is, also known as circular reasoning, is a fallacy in which the premise includes the claim that the conclusion is true or directly or indirectly assumes that the conclusion is true. Simple to put, assuming the answer. Also means arguing in a circle, A because B because A, or assuming the thing to be true that you are trying to prove. Here's the three examples. Example 1, abortion is the unjustified killing of a human being and as such is murder. Murder is illegal, so abortion should be too. Example 2, women should not be soldiers because only men should be soldiers. Example 3 is a little conversation between Bill and Adam. So Bill says God must exist. Adam says, how do you know? Bill, because the Bible says so. Adam, why should I believe the Bible? Because the Bible was written by God. The three discussion questions. Discussion question 1. Why do you think the dirty trick beg to question is commonly misused as to raise a question? Here's a little picture thing for you guys. And it reads, begging the question is when what you're trying to prove is assumed implicitly in one of your premises. For example, T-Rex is a pretty sweet dude because he's always so freaking awesome. This is actually formally valid. If the premise is true and I'm freaking awesome, then it follows that I'm pretty sweet dude. However, I'm providing no logical support for my T-Rex is awesome premise, but only made a conclusion which relies on the premise being true. I haven't offered any evidence, so I'm begging the question. But begging the question is mostly used today to mean raising the question. Well, I suppose that begs the question T-Rex if it's used more often to mean raise the question than a fallacy of premisation doesn't that suggest that the definition of the phrase has evolved? The T-Rex responds back to, no, it does not. What it suggests that is everyone sucks but me. Later, the face of perception language. That's for your discussion question 1. Discussion question number 2, why is this the example considered as beg a question? Here's a possible answer. Paranormal phenomenon exists because I have had experience that only be described as phenomenal or pronominal. This is considered beg to the question because the premise assumes that the anger has had phenomenal experiences and therefore assumes that phenomenal experiences exist. The arguer should not be granted the assumption that his experiences were phenomenal, but should be made to provide support for his questionable claim. Discussion number 3 says, since this dirty trick has been used in different ways, what should we do? Should we join in and use beg the question to mean raise the question, or should we join in on the old use assume the conclusion? Possible answer to question 3 is truthfully they are both bad choices because if you go with raise the question, people are going to be confused and complain. But if you use a phrase to mean assume the conclusion, you're going to look like an idiot because no one will understand. The best way is to just don't use either and everyone is happy. Discussion question 4, do you see this fallacy used in everyday life, every day among friends, coworkers, etc.? Possible answer is I do think it is used in our daily lives, actually in everyday conversation. It may not be as easy to spot out, but if you listen carefully, you can hear people using this other than mean to or just happens. As the above examples, it is seen and heard every day, politics, war, religion, etc. Discussion question 5. Why do people now say beg the question when they mean raise the question? Possible answer for this is honestly people get these confused at all the time. It's not because it's the same, which it is not. It is mainly because they don't know the difference and don't know when to use it. Truthfully, if you're talking to a person who knows they might think you're referring to something else when in reality you mean the other thing. These are both very confusing topics, so the difference is beg the question is arguing back and forth in circles while Raise the question means that the argument demands that a question about it be asked. Now for class assignment, I'm going to ask you to create your own dialogue using beg to the question fallacy. Here's a visual for it. And it reads, and we know mass creates gravity because dense planets have more gravity. How do we know which planets have more dense? They have more gravity. That's circular reasoning. I prefer to think of it as having no loose ends. Activity for both fallacies. Get with a partner or friend and see if you two can create 4 fallacies, 2 for beg to the question and 2 for my dirty trick number 12, which is call for perfection, and must be in the following categories: laws, environment, religion, and technology. Now for dirty trick number 12, which is call for perfection. The definition is: if you remark that a proposal or claim should be rejected solely because it doesn't solve the problem perfectly, or in other terms, it oversimplifies the world into 2 options, but based around perfection, either we do something perfectly or we don't do it at all. The arguer isn't going to cave in, so the person gives a condition that cannot be met. The 3 examples. Example 1 states you said hiring a house cleaner would solve our cleaning problems because we both have full-time jobs. Now look what happened. Every week she unplugs the toaster oven and leaves it that way. I should have never listened to you about hiring a house cleaner. Example 2, the NFL should not use instant replay to help make calls. No matter how many cameras they have on the field, they are still going to get some calls wrong. Yeah, but they will get a lot less wrong. For example 3, that there is no point to having a police force, since no matter what we do, there will always be a crime. But just because the police are not perfect, that is, they don't stop all crime, does not mean that we shouldn't have a police force at all. Here's our 3 discussion questions. Discussion question 1, why is this fallacy call for perfection easily confused with raise nothing but objection? Possible answer for discussion question 1 is yes, they are both familiar, but raise nothing but objection isn't saying certain conditions have to met. This one is saying no again over and over. For discussion question 2, do you think that beg the question, call for perfection are similar, and do you think they are completely different? Explain. Possible answer is they are completely different because beg the question is assuming the thing you are trying to prove to be true, but call for perfection is when the 2 options are oversimplified but based around perfection. Either it has to be perfect or nothing at all, and the arguer doesn't cave in, so the person gives them a condition that cannot be met. Discussion question 3, if you could put call for perfection in simpler words, how would you describe it? Possible answer is shifts attention from the point at issue to an aggravation of your claims, making your arguments appear ridiculous and thereby easily overthrown. Class assignment, get with a partner or friend and discuss and write down 3 call for perfection fallacy situations that you or someone you know has witnessed, seen, or experienced, or as many as you can come up with, or if you haven't, then come up with at least 3 scenarios in which this occurred. For my visual, we have dog, and it says, all cats have 4 legs. I have 4 legs, therefore I'm a cat. And there is my dirty tricks number 11 and 12. Thank you.